Well, we'll get it going here in a second. What's up, everybody? Those of you that are joining late, since I just started, and I didn't really even make the stream and give it any time. I just started it pretty much. So apologies for the no notice of the live, but I was running out of time before the game, and it's been an incredibly busy week, and I hadn't had a chance to get on here and number one, preview the game against the Carolina Panthers that we have coming up this Sunday. And I also haven't had a chance to give my post week 4 evaluations of the team. And like I said, this is something that I've been thinking about and talking and discussing, with other people, other content creators. And I've got so much information and thoughts that I need to get all this out. So we got a lot to talk about today. Number one, I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of where we stand and where we're headed here as we get into this next game against the Panthers. Is our Week 5 matchup, and then at the end of after all that, then I'll get into the evaluations of the team and individual positions and things like that. That's going to be kind of the most involved part, and I want to make sure that we give people time to come in here, since obviously I'm stupid and didn't schedule this stream at all. Aqua, what's up, man? How's it going, dude? So, hey, bro, before everybody starts coming in here, is my audio okay? I'm trying a new location for my microphone, since I'm kind of usually have my microphone so far away from me, and seeing if this is any better. Cool. Okay. So, I'm jealous of your duck. Just wanted to say that. I'm going to have to get myself a duck and a little duck jersey. I think I'm going to have to do that. You've convinced me with your post on your community tab. I think I'm going to have to. So, a little bit of a personal update, I guess, real quick. This year, I managed to get myself to balloon up. I mean, in my college football days, I was 260 pounds. I was a tight end. I was 260 pounds, and I feel like that was my ideal weight. I felt really healthy, felt really good. And, at dad life, as you get older, and I'm in my 40s now, and I'm a truck driver, so that doesn't help either. I noticed that I kind of ballooned a bit, and I actually got myself to almost 330 pounds about 3 months ago. 3 months ago. Yeah, about 330 pounds when I got on the scale, and I was disgusted. Like I could not handle it. I was like, this is not good. So I went and started doing some healthier eating. No more sugar, like drink sugar, like liquid sugar. It's like the worst thing you can do for your body, because that sugar doesn't want to go away like normal sugar does. It's one of the last things that burn up in your body. So, like, for those of you that are wondering, like, drinking soda, it's like the worst thing you can do for your body. And I was like drinking Mountain Dew like crazy, like tons of Mountain Dew. But I got on the scale last night after, just manage. Really, I mean, I always lift weights. That's something I always do. But really, just after not drinking soda anymore and kind of watching some of my sweet intake, like, I love donuts. After watching some of that stuff, and kind of keeping that under control, 3 months, and I'm down to just under 300 pounds now. I feel a whole lot better. I got a long way to go still. I need to get myself down to, my goal is between 280 and 270. I'm 6'2", so I'm not like a small guy. So hopefully here in a few more months, I'll have more good news, but so far so good. I feel a lot better. Completely cut soda out of my diet, which is a huge thing. I found substitutes for caffeine. I hate coffee. I can't do coffee. So I had to find much healthier alternative for my caffeine delivery. I managed to find it. That's basically it's a natural energy drink called Bloom. A lot of the chicks on Instagram always pick posts about it and stuff. All kinds of females. I guess it's a female drink. I don't know. I like it. I think it's good. So I've been drinking the crap out of it. I'm so jealous, dude. I want to be chugging Mountain Dew. I freaking love Mountain Dew. Like, even though now, it's been 3 months since I haven't really had any Mountain Dew, it's so good. Ugh, just thinking about it, I can taste it. It's so good. So, I guess back to some football things. When you guys do get in here, make sure you throw down a like and help me get this populated, since I did not make this stream with any kind of plan. I just started it, so I'm not thinking there's going to be many people in here, but it'll be available to watch, obviously. So I'm just going to keep going. We are playing the Carolina Panthers this week. It's It's an early game, 1 p.m. On the East Coast, 9 a.m. here on the West. This game is important. I mean, I know it's the Panthers. I know they have a bad going right now. They're not doing very well, but that doesn't really matter. We've got some needs here, and I mean, this game, it's not good. It's not going to be like, nobody's going to want to watch this game, really. I mean, it's the Panthers versus the Dolphins. I mean, both teams are 1-3, and it's not going to be like, the battle of the bigs. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people are looking at this game as a U Bowl. But as Dolphins fans, this is important. This is about as important as it gets. We have a schedule that in these next few games, they really are must wins. We have got to get back to 300 or 500. We've got to get to 3-3. We need to take advantage. And yeah, I know that means also playing the Chargers, and I'm not going to really get into much of that. But right now, what they need to do is they have got to beat the Carolina Panthers in Carolina. Now, there are some ways. There is a way. There's an avenue for the Miami Dolphins to win this game, and not just win it, but there's an avenue for them to win this game big. This game, the Panthers have pretty significant weaknesses in just the right spots for the Miami Dolphins, where they should be able to work this out. It's likely going to be a close game. I really think that there is an avenue for this to be a butt whooping for Miami, which means they should be able to win this game significantly and handily, provided that they do the things that they need to do. I'm trying to think of the best way to frame this stuff so that I don't spoil what I want to talk about at the end after the preview for this game here in this live stream, where I'm talking about my evaluation of the team so far. The Panthers have a couple issues that we can take advantage of. Number one, they have got a major issue at running back right now. They are going to be depending on Bryce Young to do a lot of things in this game, because their run game is not going to be there, and it's not going to be as available as it normally would. I think right now it's Dowdy who's going to be their running back, and he's not horrible. I'm not saying that, but I mean, he's a second string running back for the Panthers, and on top of that, they're going to be running a third string guard because they've got a couple guards out. So that offensive line is hurting right now. With that offensive line hurting, and with the lack of a running back, or their higher quality running back, with those things going on, the Panthers, there's a good chance that they're going to end up being extremely one-sided. Now, with that one-sided offense, where they're going to have to pass. I mean, they're going to have to. If they try to run, I don't feel like they have the kind of offensive line that's going to be, even against our defensive line, with the struggles they've had. And I'll get into all that in a minute here. But even with that, they're going to be struggling, and they're going to have to open it up downfield with the passing game. And with Miami right now, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but one of the strengths of our defense lately has been our cornerbacks. You know, like I mean, you can take the stats for what you will, the rankings, for PFF, but it is somewhat stat based and performance based. And look at, I mean, Rasul Douglas is ranked sixth in the NFL, the sixth ranked cornerback in the NFL out of 101. His ranking is it's over 80. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's over 80. Rasul Douglas is playing out of his mind right now, and nobody really expected that. Jack Jones on the other side, he's playing very well as well. He's ranked 35th in the NFL. And this is all, like I said, this is according to PFF, but it's something that needs to be mentioned. Our cornerbacks have been playing very decent football, and I'm not even going to complain. And with that, they're going to have to play well in this game because they're going to be tested early and often by the Carolina Panthers. Look for this opportunity. Look for our cornerbacks to possibly get an interception in this game. The first one in a long time for our cornerbacks. So if that does happen, I'll be jumping up and down. I'll be super excited. As far as safeties go, Ashton Davis is ranked 68th for safeties. He's got a 50 rating. Not super great. Ashton Davis's big problem is the problem he's always had. He's always had the same problem. He continues to jump at the big play instead of taking the responsible route sometimes. So Ashton Davis is it's normal. It's what to be expected of him. Minkah Fitzpatrick's got an A rating. He's got a 70 grade. 24th in the league out of 78 safeties. So Minkah Fitzpatrick playing well, not like out of his mind or out of his gourd, but he's playing well. Our backfield is playing decent football. Dotson and Brooks for our linebacking core, our middle linebackers, they lead the NFL in tackles, like by a good margin. And you can look at that a couple ways. Number one, obviously, they're not missing tackles. Our middle linebackers are playing out of their minds, and they have to because our defensive line is not making initial stops. They're getting pushed back, and because of that, Dotson and Brooks are being forced to make those initial tackles. And so far, they've taken advantage of that, and their stats are through the roof. Jordan Brooks is ranked 27th out of all middle linebackers in the NFL. I mean, that's a pretty good ranking. And Tyrell Dodson is ranked 40th. I mean, these guys are playing well. So our secondary and our middle linebackers are playing good football. The problem is when we get into our defensive line. And part of this is that, you look at the interior of our defensive line, Zach Sealer's not getting much help. And because of that, you're looking at certain players are getting double teamed almost all the time. Chop Robinson and Zach Sealer on that right side of or left side of our defensive line, they are getting double teamed so much. It's unreal. And it definitely has an effect. Now, when teams know that they need to tee up on certain players and they start doubling, it makes it hard to get push and to get pressure from our defensive line at that point, And there's also other things that you need to look at, like the fact that in every game we've played, there's been a significant amount of the snaps where they're running running backs, tight ends, and even extra linemen to give extra protection against this defensive line. Now, when you do that, you're going to be outnumbering our defensive line no matter what you do at that point. It's going to be really hard to get pressure. Also, keep in mind that the Miami Dolphins are not putting, as a defense, we're not putting offenses into position where there's going to be true pass rushing downs for us. We're getting them into 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, or not even 3rd down at all. If they could get the teams into some 3rd and long situations, then you would be able to see true pass rush situations for the Miami Dolphins. But it's not happening very much. So with that, if we're not seeing very many plays where we're getting opportunities to truly pass rush and to truly pin our ears back on our edges and and make a push at the quarterback, if we're not getting that opportunity, you're not going to see much progress or much many stats from our defensive line. It's just not going to happen. There's just no way. There's other responsibilities once you find out that the play is going to be a run play. It's not about the quarterback. It's about maintaining your lane and keeping yourself in the proper gaps to make a tackle, right? Running backs can cut back very easily. So basically, defensive line is much like any other team player on defense. Your responsibility is reaction, right? It's a lot of reaction. And if you recognize that it's a run play, you're not going to be thinking about, rushing the quarterback. You're not thinking about anything other than you should be thinking about maintaining your gap and your spacing, because running backs can cut direction pretty quick. And at that point, all you're doing is reacting to them. So you need to make sure that you maintain your gaps, because otherwise you're going to leave huge holes. Basically, you don't want to get moved. And that's why you see a lot during a lot of these plays, and you see our defensive line just sitting there, it seems like. And they're doing that for a reason, but when you do that, you also have to use your hands to get separation, and there's none of that going on. And that's where I think our defensive line is struggling, is with the hands. Anthony Weaver mentioned what did he say? He said violent hand action, right? Violent hand action or involvement on the play at the line of scrimmage. That's what they need to be doing, and they're not. Bradley Chubb mentioned it as well. That's something that he knows that they need to work on. This is the problem. It's not really anything other than the fact that they're not getting off of their blocks, and they need to do that. And how do you do that? You do that with your hands. You do that with your hands, arm strength, and chest strength. And that's what they need to do. And I think that's why Kenneth Grant is struggling, and even Phillips, not Jalen. That's why they're struggling on the interior, is because they need to learn more about how to use their hands properly. It's violent in the interior of the defensive line. It's very violent, and they need to just be a little more violent. That's what it is. So in this game, with the way the offensive line is looking for the Carolina Panthers and all the injuries that they have, you're going to see some significant amounts of snaps where the Miami Dolphins are going to be able to pin their ears back a little bit and go after the quarterback. So I would bet a Buffalo nickel that our defensive line is going to play a lot better this week. If nothing else, we're going to be able to see a little more pass rush. And I think that'll be good. And obviously for people like Kenneth Grant, they're going to get a little bit of confidence out of this game. And I think that's good. I'm not losing sight of the fact that it's the Panthers, right? But confidence is key, and it's a huge thing in this game, or in this game of the NFL, not necessarily the Panthers game. So looking at our defense, I see a lane for us to win, and that's solid back end play and letting the defense pin their ears back a little bit. Those are the things that need to happen, right? The cornerbacks need to cover their receivers for enough time to let this defensive line eat, because this is going to be the first game in this season where the Miami Dolphins defensive line is going to be able to pin their ears back a little bit, because the Panthers are going to have to pass in this game. They are not going to be able to run, even against our defensive line. They are not going to be able to run like they want to. Clip it. I mean, if nobody believes me, please clip it, because I think I can see this happening. That's the main thing for our defense, is and obviously, the low-hanging fruit, they have to play clean. And I feel like for the most part, they've done a pretty good job of doing that. Most of our penalties for the Dolphins thus far has been on our offense. I mean, look, obviously there's been a couple penalties on the defense, right, and special teams. But as a majority of the penalties have been on offense. So I think there's a definite avenue for our defense to dominate this game. It's just a matter of, can those couple things happen? Can Douglas and Jack Jones continue to play the way they've been playing? I'm not asking them to play any better than they have. They've been playing magnificent football. For what they've come in and been asked to do, two brand new cornerbacks on this team, brand new playbook, really working out well for us. And I think that's only going to get better. I mean, say what you want. I know a lot of people don't like Storm Duck. I know that I absolutely adore Storm Duck. I know I do, and I'm not even going to pretend that I don't. So I know I'm a little biased there, but I know that having him come back here very soon is going to help. And he's not going to be back for this game. So it's going to be on Rasul Douglas and Jack Jones and Cornell Armstrong in the slot. And Cornell Armstrong has been playing very well too. Once again, all of our cornerbacks are carrying an A rating on PFF. And I'm not saying PFF is everything, I know, but it's something to look at and it's something to consider, right? When we're looking at this team. So I think that this is going to work out pretty well. Obviously, another important thing here is let's not get cute with pressure, right? I think that we need to focus on organic pass rush instead of this simulated cuteness that the Miami Dolphins have been plagued with. And that falls on Anthony Weaver. Stop dropping Jalen Phillips back into coverage and bringing a linebacker or rushing the slot corner, because that's been happening so much and it's not working. So stop bringing Jalen Phillips into coverage and let him eat. Let him push. Let's see what happens if we just maybe stop with the blitzing as much as we are. We're the number one team in the NFL in the blitz. We do it too much. For blitzing as much as we do and for getting as little results as we have, I think we only have 8 sacks on the season. That needs to change. So the best way to do that is to stop being cute. Stop dropping Jalen Phillips. Let him push. And keep our cornerbacks and our linebackers in coverage or, floating in the cloud. That's what they need to do. And I think that if we do that, especially against the Panthers, I think that we're going to have a lot of success on defense. You keep your cornerbacks and your linebackers back off the line of scrimmage for the most part, and I guarantee you there's going to be a pick in this game, probably 2. Bryce Young is very short and small statured. I'm not saying he's a horrible quarterback or anything like that. If there's Panthers fans in here or is going to be seeing this, please don't think that I'm saying that. But I am saying you get a little bit of pressure in his face, he's going to have a hard time seeing downfield. So our pass rushers need to actually be allowed to pass rush. So Anthony Weaver, if you're listening, please stop with that cute crap. Let our pass rushers pass rush. Watch what happens. I think it's going to make a huge difference. Let's see. What can I do here? All right. So as far as our offense goes, I mean, this is those of you that didn't hear, please throw a like down. Make sure you do that. It helps with getting more people in here. As far as offense goes, it's another simple thing. As far as the offensive line itself, it's been a lot better than I thought it would be, and I'll say that. I do feel like Larry Borum is not the answer at right tackle. Hopefully that changes very soon. He's just not cutting it. I'll feel a lot better once James Daniels and Austin Jackson come back. But until then, we have Larry Borum. We're going to have to make do. Cole Strange has done a fantastic job in the last game, and I cannot wait to see him continue. He's done a good job, very serviceable job at right guard. Obviously, we know the deal with Patrick Paul. He's been playing incredible. Definitely one of the stronger players on our offensive line. Aaron Brewer has been playing great. I don't have any issues with those two. I noticed that with Cole Strange and Aaron Brewer, when they're playing together on the same side, they're opening up some huge holes for our running backs, and that's a great thing. I want to see more of that. Svai Naya, he's going through some growing pains. He's learning. Like I said, I'm not labeling anybody who's a rookie as a bust right now. I'm saying that they're struggling. Our rookies seem to be going through some rookie struggles, and that's part of the game, unfortunately. We are asking a lot from these guys, so you gotta kind of work with it, roll with the punches for as far as the offensive line goes. For the injuries that we've had on offensive line, our offensive line has been playing rather decent. Not allowed a sack last 2 games, right? Been playing very well as a whole. I'm going to give them I'm going to give them a pass. Not excellent, not great, but they've been playing well. Just need to keep it clean, right? And minimize those holding penalties, those offensive linemen downfield, those kind of penalties that can't be happening. They just need to keep growing, right? The big question, well, let's talk about Tua real quick. Tua played well in the last game. I'm not going to mince words. He played well. He made smart decisions, didn't lose the game for us, and did some things that were impressive in that game. I mean, the yard totals weren't there, right? 177 yards, not a lot, but the touchdowns were. Had 2 touchdowns to Darren Waller and no picks, more importantly. So made good decisions all game. I liked the way Tua played that last game. I've talked about all that. I've talked about the coaches doing well. I'll get to the coaches in a second here. As far as the receiving core goes, we know what to expect from our run game, right? And in this game, it's going to be very important to run the ball. It's never going to be any other way than that. The running game is so important, and that's going to be one of those keys to victory for me for every game this season. Run the freaking ball. They've been doing that. They've been consistently pushing with the run game and not getting away from it, and I like that. I think that's a good thing. As far as the receivers go, this is where the problem lies, and I don't know if it's a problem. I think it could be a good thing in this game, but right now we know the deal with Tyreek Hill, right? It's a horrible thing to have that happen to you. And just a side note, those people that have made comments like, well, Tyreek Hill is a horrible person and he deserves this and I couldn't happen to a nicer guy. It's like, are you serious? Are you freaking kidding me? That is one of the most horrible things you could possibly say or think. Not wishing that on anybody, to have your knee completely blown out like that. It's a horrible, horrible injury. So I'm not going to say anything like that ever. I'm glad he's up and moving. He was hobbling around on his Twitter. I saw a video, so that's good. I'm happy for him, praying for him. Wish him a quick recovery, as quick as possible, right? Not going to speculate on what's going to happen to him down the road. That's for later, right? Not right now. We're talking about the team right now that we have, and right now you're looking at Jalen Waddle as the number 1 on this team, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. The rank. I mean, so here's let's look at the stats for the year, okay? As far as receiving goes, Tyreek Hill, and they both played 4 games, right? And neither one of them have been injured for a game yet. Tyreek Hill has 21 receptions for 265 yards. Jalen Waddle has 17 catches for 185. So with 4 more catches, Tyreek Hill has about 80 more yards. Tyreek Hill has 1 touchdown, and Jalen Waddle has 2. Now, neither one is fumbled. The yak for yards after the catch, Tyreek Hill has 57 yards, and Jalen Waddle has 55. So in 4 less catches, Jalen Waddle has the same amount, give or take a yard, of yak. That's not bad. Jalen Waddle's numbers would point to him being more than capable of being our number 1. And anybody who knows him knows that he's been much more vocal this year with the team and kind of coaching them up a little bit, come on guys, let's get it together, that kind of thing. And you like to see that, especially knowing now he's going to have to be our number 1. So that's a good thing. I think he's ready. I think he's going to be able to handle it. Now you can't expect Tyreek Hill to be the only one, Jalen Waddle to be the only one in this game that steps up from the wide receiver core. There's going to have to be a lot of that. I really hope Eskridge gets involved in this game a little bit. I think that's going to be a huge part of this. Eskridge does a fantastic job. Right now, what you're looking at from our wide receiver core for starters is going to end up being Jalen Waddle and Nick Westbrook-Akine on the other side with Washington as the slot receiver. I think that's a more than capable receiver core. You also have Darren Waller as our tight end, and everybody knows the deal there. He had a fantastic game coming in after missing a year of football, and I think that's going to continue here. And the other thing here is their cornerbacks are pretty decent, but where they struggle is that middle of the field coverage. So Their middle linebackers, their linebacking core is absolutely horrible in pass coverage for the Carolina Panthers. And knowing that the Carolina Panthers have been giving up gobs of yards and touchdowns to tight ends so far this year. And with knowing that, I think that this is going to give an avenue for our tight ends to eat heavily in this game. Not just Darren Waller, but Julian Hill as well. I think that this is going to be a good game to involve the tight ends. So something to think about there. This game, there is an avenue for a really good game for Miami, and it's just a matter of, is this team going to go out and get it right? I think that I've explained the avenues and how to do that. Run the ball, get that middle of the field passing game going, because we very well could see a renaissance of cover one against this team, just because of the fact that Tyreek Hill is no longer on the field and he's no longer a risk. With that, teams might decide that cover two shell isn't really worth running as much, because they might want to stack the box against the run. And if they do that, we have got to take our shots down the field. Have to. I think the offense may open up more without Reek. The bigger body receivers come in and young talent gets to show off, like Taj and D. I agree. D. Eskridge, like I said, I really hope D gets involved in this game. The other thing that I was thinking is something that most people aren't thinking of, and I really wish that they would do it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. They really, really, really need to. Where is he? Let's see. So I can't find his stats right now from the preseason, but Theo Weiss is somebody to look at here, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if they end up moving him up onto the active roster from the practice squad. Theo Weiss had a pretty good preseason in the games and in practice. Made some fantastic catches and got some good yak too. I think Theo Weiss would be a good idea to bring up, especially since Cedric Wilson is not ready to go. He won't be in this game. I would love, and AJ Henning, yes. That's another good point there, Aqua. I agree. There are players on our practice squad that could be very serviceable as backup receivers for this team on the active roster. So definitely Theo Weiss or AJ Henning, both of them played well. The only reason I would suggest Theo Weiss is because he's a tall receiver and he's more of that go up and get it type of receiver as compared to AJ Henning. Henning is 5'10". You know, he's a smaller receiver. Theo Weiss is 6'1", I think. So I would like to see either one come up to the 53. I think there's going to end up being room, especially, Wilson has taken up that spot right now, but if they bump him out for a while, I think it would be good to bring Theo Weiss in. But we've talked about this availability. There's a way to win this game. I spelled it out. I explained it. And with that, it's just a matter of, will the Dolphins do what they need to do to win this game? Will they come out and be the ones to strike first? That's going to be huge. You're going to want to go up in this game. That's another way. How many games have we gone up a significant amount by a touchdown or so in any of these games? We haven't. And that's part of the problem, is when you have that not happening, you also take away a lot of opportunity from our defense to pin their ears back and go after the quarterback. So we need to put the Carolina Panthers in passing situations. The best way to do that is to strike first and strike often. Do that, and then we're actually going to have a good chance of not just winning this game, but winning heavily. As far as the score prediction goes, I mean, I can give it. But sometimes I feel like when I give a score prediction, I'm just kind of cursing my team. But I'll do it. I think that this is one of those games where Miami has the potential to go over 30 points. I'm thinking 35-17 Miami. And that's my initial prediction here. We'll see how everything shakes out with injuries as we get closer. But as of Friday night, I'm thinking 35-17 Miami. It could be closer. It very well might be, but that's my prediction. That's what I'm thinking. We'll see what ends up happening. Dolphins just need to play. They need to show up to play, and they need to show up to win. They need to have some emotion, a little bit of fire under their butts. We'll see how it shakes out. That's where we're at. But I have my little book of all my things that I've written down, my thoughts about every position on this team. Might as well start going through a little bit of it, huh? And the way I'm doing this is I'm just doing it by position, and I'll give a outlook on the offense and defense as I finish them too. So those of you that are here, make sure you throw the like down. Help me get more people in here. Like I said, I made this stream without even planning it out. I just kind of forgot to put the stream out in the first place. So, whoops. Let's see. Okay. We'll start with the offense, and we'll start with quarterback, because that's always something people want to talk about, right? I want to talk about quarterbacks. I don't have an evaluation for our two backups, Quinn Ewers and Zach Wilson. I maintain my previous thought for the beginning of the season, where I thought that Quinn Ewers would be more serviceable as the number 2 quarterback than Zach Wilson, and I stand by that for now. Moving into the starting quarterback position, our number 1, Mr. Uno, Tua Tagovailoa. It was a rough start to the season, right? Very rough start, and I'm not convinced personally that he's the guy to take us to the next level. Does he have the ability? Does he have the talent? Yes, I do think he has the ability and the talent. Is he going to put it all together? I just don't know. I don't know. What I do think is, I think the last couple games, I think he's done a better job. If you take away, especially if you just kind of ignore that one interception against the Bills, it's hard. But I think that there's an opportunity. I think that he's settled down a little bit. Like I said, after watching week 4, the game that he played against the Jets, I think that he looked a lot more comfortable in the pocket, did a lot better with managing rush, escaping pressure, and creating things on the move. And that's the thing that I think that Tua needs to do to succeed. He hasn't been doing that. He's been looking very uncomfortable in the pocket. And I think that in the 4th game against the Jets, I feel like he showed a little bit more of that ability, and I liked it. I liked the fact that he didn't throw a pick. Obviously, that was fantastic. I think he has the ability to continue to improve. I would like to see him continue to improve. If he doesn't improve for the rest of the season, I'm going to be of the opinion, and like I said, I'll give my evaluation at the end of the season as well. But I will, right now, I'm not sure if he's the guy to take us to the next level. I'm going to need to see a lot from him. Number 1, putting the team on his back. I want to see that happen. And we might have to wait until the Chargers game to be able to see something along those lines. We'll see. Like I said, I'm not overly hopeful about it, but I am trying to be optimistic with it, just because the last game did look very well, very good. And we'll see how that continues. Stats, I'm not too concerned with stats. I'm not concerned with 177 yards as a bad thing. In that game, it was kind of one of those games. We had more run plays than pass plays. I think it was we had like 5 or 6 more run plays than pass plays in that last game against the Jets, and that's kind of how that one panned out. So I'm not going to freak out about the stats there. What I am happy with is the no pick thing. I'm happy about 2 touchdowns, and I'm very happy seeing one of those touchdown passes be a touchdown pass that I have not seen him throw in a very long time. Not since we had another pass catching tight end a few years ago. I think it was 2023 or 2022. The last time I've seen Tua make a backdoor throw like that under the goalpost. So that was good to see. And he put it right where it needed to be. Darren Waller went up and got it. You like to see that, right? So I was happy about that. Overall, for Tua right now, if I had to give him a ranking on a graded scale, I would probably give him a C, a straight C right now. And it could be a lot better if he continues to improve, or it could be a lot worse if he has a backslide. Right now, ranking Tua with a C, and the quarterback room itself has a C as well. Like I said, a lot of room for improvement from the quarterbacks, from the quarterback room, and mainly from Tua Tagovailoa. Not sure where it's going to go from here, but right now, sitting at a solid C. mainly because of the last two games and the decisions that Tua has made in those games seem to be gradually getting better, and we'll see if that trend continues. We just move right into running back right now. As far as the running back room goes, I've been pretty happy. I and we'll get into the coaching too. Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about the coaching, so I'm not going to talk about, well, if they would have given so and so more plays. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about ranking the rooms of this team individually. So looking at the running back room, um, I like what I have. I like what we have. I wouldn't necessarily change the number one and number two running backs. I think Devon Achane and Ollie Gordon have done a fantastic job. I like the difference in their running style. I like the fact that we have a bruising type of running back and after the contact type of running back. And I like that we have one that has some speed and some shiftiness and some ability to do different things, kind of like a Darren Sproles almost from back in the day, if you remember him with the Chargers. Constantly available for pass plays and a lot of other things. I liked his style, right? So looking at our running back room, they've done very well, especially being given the fact that our run blocking hasn't been the greatest. I mean, it's been serviceable here and there, but there's been a lot of collapses from the run game. So looking at these running backs and looking at what they've done and what they can do outside of the run game itself, where they can jump into the pass game as well, and even their blocking. Ollie Gordon has done a fantastic job when he's been required to block. That opportunity hasn't been very often. And during most pass plays, our offense does send our running backs out into the flat as a a dump off option. And I think that's a good idea because you don't want Devon Achane blocking, right? He's just not that kind of running back. And he'll do his best when he gets the opportunity. He doesn't shy away from making a block, but it's not his thing. I like what I'm seeing from our running backs. I'd like to see a little more productivity, but I like the fact that our coach is, putting a little bit of effort into maintaining the run and sticking with it. As far as it goes, you have Devon Achane. He's averaging 5 yards a carry, 250 yards on 50 running attempts, and one rushing touchdown. I mean, that's pretty decent, right? Not too bad. I'm okay with that stat line. I like what I'm seeing from Devon Achane. Ollie Gordon, he hasn't had nearly as many attempts, right? But when they put him in, he does what he needs to do. He falls forward for 3 yards at the minimum. He's averaging 3.3 yards per carry, 60 rushing yards on 18 attempts, and a rushing touchdown. Like I said, I'm not upset with our running backs. I'd like to see a little more productivity. I'd like to see Ollie Gordon get the ball a little more, but if it doesn't, right now I like what we're doing with the run game. I just want that to continue, right? So it's not looking horrible right there. And we also have Jalen Wright, and while he hasn't played as a running back at all, it's a good third option. I think I like what I see there from our defense or from our offense in the running back room. And for the running backs, I'm giving us a solid B. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say, oh, A+, we're great. There's not going to be very many positions on this team that are going to get an A rating. Okay. Because quite frankly, we're just not that team right now. At the end of the season, that very well could change. But as of after week 4, a 1-3 football team, I'm giving our running back room a solid B. And saying that's a compliment, right? Given the fact that this team has struggled largely this year so far. We're 1-3. So giving the running back room a B, that's good stuff. We should be very happy with what we're seeing from our running backs. Where should we go next? Let's go ahead and talk about our tight ends. This is something that this is new because I had a pretty different rating of our tight ends until after week 4. Our tight ends have been fairly impressive, especially last week. And I'm not just talking about Darren Waller. Darren Waller, of course, played lights out in his first game back. Didn't have many touches, but the touches he did get, my goodness, he maximized them. And our tight ends are making plays outside of tight end responsibilities. So special teams, Darren Waller Julian Hill's made a couple tackles on special teams. Darren Waller on special teams on against the Jets, he recovered that onside kick, and that was not an easy snag to make for an onside kick recovery. He snagged it. I was very impressed, very happy to see, and I thought it was fitting that Darren Waller got to put the capitalization on that game by recovering that onside kick. Julian Hill's made a couple great catches, and more importantly, this entire year so far, Julian Hill has absolutely just stopped with penalties. I don't know what clicked in his brain this year, but I'm very impressed with Julian Hill so far. And obviously, Julian Hill makes blocks. He knows how to block. He does a good job at that, and he's continued doing that. Our tight ends are playing rather well. Not perfect, not great, right? But they're doing well. Tanner Connor, that's the one that I'm kind of meh about, but I mean, he's averaging 11 yards per catch. Cap, what's up, man? Good to see you in here, brother. Darren Waller has, or I'm sorry, Tanner Connor's got 11 yards per catch. He's only got 33 catches on 33 yards on 3 catches, 0 touchdowns. So I'm not really talking too much about Tanner Connor. He's kind of going to be going to the wayside, given that we have Darren Waller now playing and seemingly healthy and doing well. And Julian Hill obviously has been doing rather well too. He's only got 2 catches for 23 yards, but both those catches were big time. And especially the one against the Jets. That was a big third down catch for him. And the big thing with Julian Hill is he's blocking well and he's not committing penalties. And knowing that, that's huge. So you see growth from Julian Hill. You see Darren Waller come in and rock it. You know, he only had 3 catches in that last game against the Jets, but it was for 27 yards and 2 touchdowns. I like what I saw from him, especially with the involvement on the special teams onside recovery for the onside kick on special teams. That was fantastic to see, right? So those tight ends, you have to give them a solid ranking. I have to, and it's looking up for our tight end room, and that's something that's important. Is you see a trend going upwards, not down, for our tight ends. So with that, I'm going to give our tight ends a B+. I like what I'm seeing from our tight end room, and like I said, there's room for improvement. They could turn around next week and slide all the way down. By the end of the season, I could be giving them a D. Who knows? But right now, my evaluation of our tight end room is a B+, solid B+. So that's where we're at right now. Actually, you know what? Let me grab this. What do you guys think so far? What do you think about this tight end room? Where are you guys at with them? Let's see. Here we go. All right. I want to keep track of this. So let's talk about wide receivers. Now, we know that Tyreek Hill is out, and that's a bummer. It's going to affect things, and it kind of makes it hard for me to give an evaluation of Kosa. What's up? It's been a while since I've seen you in here, brother. What's up? Juggernaut Waller. Yeah, dude. He's a beast. He's a big dude. Thanks for coming in, man. Yeah, I'm impressed with him too. And that he's largely the reason in that last game. I see that room for improvement. I see them growing and upticking. So with that, I'm definitely, I got to give the tight end room a B+ so far, especially with the way Julian Hill's been playing, and he's being so clean, which is amazing. Especially, we all know the deal with Julian Hill. So seeing him not get 4 or 5 penalties a game is amazing. You got to be happy with that. Even if he doesn't get catches, you got to be happy that he's blocking well and he's not committing penalties. Win-win. So the wide receivers. The wide receiver room, it sucks when Tyreek Hill's gone, right? I talked a little bit about that already. It does suck. It's hard. but we have so many people that can fill that void on wide receiver. It makes it hard looking forward and even looking back, trying to give a rating of our wide receivers. Here's some things that I've noted about our wide receiver room so far this season. Do they have a lot of stats? No, they don't have a lot of stats. Tua's only thrown, I think, 7 touchdowns. 7 touchdowns? Yeah, 7 touchdowns to our wide receivers. So with that, I'm not too well. Not all to our wide receivers. One was to Achan. You can't really count him for the wide receiver room, but there's not a lot of stats there. But what I have noticed, number one for route running, our wide receivers are running fantastic routes. They're crisp, they're on time. Like I said, Tua's had some issues with accuracy up until the last game against the Jets, where he was very accurate and did well. He had some accuracy issues and wasn't throwing all the balls where they needed to go, but most of that was on Tua. I'm not going to throw that on the wide receivers. The interceptions that Tua has thrown largely on him, not on our wide receivers. Our wide receivers have been running very good routes, so very impressive there. I'm happy with that. Looking at pass blocking and run blocking from our wide receivers. I know pass blocking, right? It's not very common, but it does happen. In the instances where our wide receivers are asked to block, you're seeing fantastic blocks downfield by our wide receivers. I'm seeing very good blocking. And I think that falls from Mr. Prince, our wide receiver coach. I think he's done a fantastic job with helping our wide receivers be able to establish blocks and maintain them downfield. So salute to him. I'll get into the coaches later in this video. But right now, talking about wide receivers, their blocking has been crisp and good. I like to see it. I think that yards of separation has been kind of all over the place. So I'm not really going to talk too much about that. And you'd expect that to kind of vary in an NFL season for every player. People talking about, well, so-and-so has 4 yards of separation. But, well, give it time. It could just be a few games they played in a row. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. Stats or whatever. I think that a lot of these other guys, Jalen Waddle, Malik Washington, Nick Westbrook, D. Eskridge, I think these guys are going to get a lot more yards here because I really feel that not having Tyreek Hill is going to force Tua to spread it around a little more. Maybe pay a little more attention to his progressions. Tua can't run progressions. Well, he can. It's just when you have a number one receiver like Tyreek Hill, how many times are you going to ignore Tyreek with 1.5 yards of separation? Tyreek with 1.5 yards of separation is like any other receiver on the planet with 6. So, it's going to be really, really tempting to just dump it off to Tyreek as soon as you see him get some separation. So, I'm not worried about it. I like what I've seen from wide receivers. I like that they've maximized their opportunities when they do get the ball. The interceptions and the bad passes, not their fault. They've run good routes. They've blocked well. You like this. Kosa, I do. I think, and I'll just talk about it real quick. Yeah, I do think that the sum is greater than the parts here. I talked earlier in the video. You might have missed it. You might have come in just a little late, but I talked about in the preview for the Panthers game that I feel like Jalen Waddle has the ability to be a number one, and numbers-wise, compared to Tyreek, they're almost identical. And in fact, Jalen has two touchdowns and Waddle has 1, or Tyreek has 1. I feel like he's got the ability to be the number one. He's being much more vocal and talking and being more of a leader. Jalen Waddle is. I think he's going to be okay, and I think that also the rest of our wide receiver room isn't bad. I just think they haven't had many opportunities yet. And I think that changes in this game because I really think that we're going to see the return or renaissance of the cover 1 against the Miami Dolphins this week. And I think we're going to see a lot more cover 1 moving forward just because of the fact that Tyreek's not on the field anymore. That's the Tyreek effect. And since he's not on the field, I think teams are going to think they can get away with stacking the box a little more than they have. And I hope they do. I hope they think that. I like our wide receiver room. I like the opportunities that they're about to be getting. But as of right now, with the ranking, I'm gonna give them a C+. Like I said, this team is C+. I think is a good ranking for them right now because like I said, and I'll keep saying this as we go because I don't want people to lose sight of the fact that we are a 1-3 team right now, and I'm evaluating us from what we've done so far in this season. So wide receivers, I'm giving a C+ just because of the things they've been doing on the field, not because of the missed numbers, because I can't blame them. Largely that goes on Tua this year so far, right? C+ for our wide receivers. Could be a lot better, could be a lot worse. And I think it's going to get better. So C+ for the wide receivers. That leaves us with on our offense. That leaves us with the handy dandy offensive line. And this is where I'm going to say some things, and it doesn't mean I hate anybody on this team, right? But there are some issues with this offensive line. Mainly is the health, right? We have James Daniels and Austin Jackson out still. James Daniels played one game and he's out. Austin Jackson played one game and he's out, or 2 games. No, 1 game. They've been out for a long time. We need them back, and they need to stay healthy. I'm sick and tired of Austin Jackson being hurt. It seems like he's hurt every year. This happens to him all the time. When he's in, we do a lot better. When he's out, we do worse. So, and like we treat with the quarterback, availability is the best ability. Well, it's the same for the offensive line. We can't say that about the quarterback and then not say it about the offensive line. We need to be realistic, right? The offensive line could be doing a lot better. Jonas Vainaya, I'm not writing off any rookie. We've put a lot on their plates and expected them to do a lot. We put Jonas Vainaya on the wrong side of the offensive line from what he's been playing since beginning of time, and doing that is very, very difficult for an offensive lineman. Trust me, it's absolutely horrible. Someone made the comparison that it's like learning to wipe your butt with the other hand all of a sudden after doing it one way for years. And that's a pretty accurate description. It's very difficult to do that. Not everybody can do it. And it doesn't mean that Vainaya is a failure and he won't be able to. But it's going to take some getting accustomed to it. This is week 4 of his rookie year. He's going to have to grow, right? So Jonas Vainaya, the main problem I have with him is he needs to clean up the mistakes, right? The penalties. That's huge. You can't make those mistakes. This is the NFL. I know you're a rookie, but you need to learn quick. No more of this offensive lineman downfield. That's ridiculous. You cannot do that. You need to be patient with your blocking, shed the blocks when you're supposed to, and look for your cues. So he needs to do that. Everything else as far as Jonas Vainaya will come. I think he's doing just fine. He just needs to keep working, keep chopping wood, keep plugging away. The main thing for him is play a clean game. No holding, no illegal lineman, no illegal player downfield, none of that. You can't have that. He's got to clean that up. If he does that and everything else just continue to grow, main thing is he can't get down on himself. He needs to stay confident, and that's hard to do. So he needs to have a victory game. He needs to have a game where he plays well. I feel like it's coming. I feel like he is getting a little better. I feel like it's improving slowly. Not fast, obviously, but it is improving for him. Jonas Vainaya just needs to continue with what he's doing, right? Let's see. I think Aaron Brewer is playing well, and I don't have any complaints against him. I'd like to see a little bit better pass protection from him, but for the most part, I think he's doing a serviceable job pass blocking. And as far as run blocking goes, there's almost no one better in the league than him. He does fantastic work with the run game. So, yes, Kosa, exactly. Vainaya is coming through in the run game. His pass blocking is a little weak, but like I said, rookie. We've got to be patient. You can't just say, "Oh, he's a bust. It's over. He's screwed." It's not that simple, right? We got to be patient. We have to understand that we're expecting a lot from these rookies this year, and we got to lower expectations there a little bit. You can't expect them to come in and be Pro Bowl players. You're just going to disappoint yourself. It's not that common, right? So I like what I'm seeing as a whole. I think the offensive line could be doing a lot worse than they are. I think they're playing serviceably, and they're allowing less and less pressure on Tua, and they didn't even allow a sack last game, which was great. And they're playing cleaner and cleaner, less and less penalties. I like it. I think the trend is moving upwards for our offensive line, as is a lot of positions on this team. And I'm just being real here. I'm trying not to be overly hopeful or overly negative, right? I'd like to see some avenues improve. I would love to see our pass blocking just a little better, and our run game probably just a little better. But I do. Costa, I think Strange played pretty darn well. His run blocking was amazing. I loved watching him in the run game, especially on the plays where they were creating a hole right between him and Aaron Brewer. I think that running off of either Brewer or Cole Strange, I think that that's a fantastic way to go because they both can get out into space and get second and third blocks. I saw two instances where Cole Strange actually took a block, took another block, and took another block. Basically chipped three players out of the play. That's for somebody who's been with the team for a couple weeks. That's perfect. That's what I want. I want someone who goes and looks for contact because they might not know the playbook very well. And there was probably instances where Cole Strange was walking up to the line and had to look over to Aaron and be like, "Hey, which one's mine?" Like if he's that new to this team, there's no way he knows the playbook. No way. And he's doing what he did last week against the Jets. I loved it. The Jets don't have a horrible defensive line. And we need to remember that. Our offensive line played pretty serviceable in week 4 and not horribly in week 3. I think they're on the uptick. I think that our offensive line is playing better and better. Right now, I would give our offensive line a C, a solid C. Not a C plus, not a C minus, but a C. I'm ranking them as a C. And keep in mind, this is a 1-3 football team, right? So I have a reason for consistently saying that, and I will explain that as I get to the end of this. So that's our offense. Our offense for quarterback, I ranked a C. For running back, B. For tight end room, B plus. For wide receivers, C plus, and for offensive line, a C. Overall, I've got to give our offense a B. Just overall, for the whole entire offense as a group, B. Now, I'll explain the whole we're 1-3 football team. Keep in mind, we're a 1-3 football team, and I'm giving us a B ranking on offense, right? Let's go to defense. Let's talk about our safeties. We'll start at the back, right? Our safeties, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Ashton Davis, right? Those are the two that are starting for us right now. We have others. We also have Cornell Armstrong in the slot playing right now. Storm Duck is injured. He's also going to be a strong part of the rotation. Ethan Bonner, I'm not going to sleep on Ethan Bonner. I'm mentioning him as well. I'm sorry, Storm Duck and Ethan Bonner and Cornell Armstrong are cornerbacks. I'm totally twisted. I thought we were talking about cornerbacks. We're talking about safeties. Melifonwu, Ashton Davis, and Minkah Fitzpatrick. Now, I talked about earlier with the rankings for those players, and my personal evaluation of our safety group. It hasn't been as good as I thought it would be. I really thought our safety room would be strong. I feel like Melifonwu has made some big mistakes in coverage, right? Melifonwu has he's made tackles, but he's made some bad decisions in coverage. And that's kind of what you would expect from him. So I'm not going to pick too much on him, but I will mention that, he got injured too. But he hasn't played as well as he could, I don't think. I think Melifonwu can do a lot better. Ashton Davis, he's one of those guys that likes to go for the big play. And when you have a player like that, you have to kind of expect some blown coverage. And that's another thing that's happening with Ashton Davis. But Ashton Davis is a hammer, and he looks for nails. And Ashton Davis has done a good job in the run game, especially coming down and making tackles. So is Minkah Fitzpatrick. Minkah Fitzpatrick has played relatively well, not necessarily disappointed in him. I'd like to see a little more involvement from him. But the way they're playing him, it doesn't allow for that. They're specifically keeping Minkah Fitzpatrick, for the most part, as that last line of defense, as a safety should be kept, right? So I do think that the safety room has been serviceable. I think there's a lot of room for improvement, especially in coverage. As far as the safety room goes with blitzing and making tackles, I think it's been fantastic. I just don't like a little bit of the coverage scheme with our safeties. I think they should be doing a little better in coverage. So it's a pretty quick one there for safeties. There's not much that I've written down. It's kind of what I expected from the safety room. I might have expected a little better from them, and because of that, I'm going to rank them with a C. It's a solid ranking, especially for a 1-3 football team. So, safeties, you got to give a C. For the cornerbacks, Rasul Douglas has played lights out. I'm not even going to front. 6th ranked quarterback in the NFL. Rasul Douglas has played fantastic football. He's making tackles. He's playing coverage almost perfectly. I like everything that Rasul Douglas has done. I think I can think of maybe 2 mistakes he's made all year, and that's not hardly anything. Most players will make 1 or 2 mistakes in coverage a game. So Rasul Douglas has played lights out. Cornell Armstrong, he's played relatively well. Hasn't been in that position the entire season, but he's doing well. Jack Jones, fantastic play. Maybe not quite as great as Rasul Douglas, but Jack Jones. Keep in mind, Rasul Douglas and Jack Jones are brand new. Our entire safety room is brand new, short of Storm Duck, who's injured right now. Storm Duck, he played well. He had 1 or 2 oopsies, but for the most part, Storm Duck was making tackles and he was maintaining coverage. I think largely the mistakes that Storm Duck was making was in the run game. He did have 1 pretty big mistake in coverage, but the safety room or the cornerback room has stayed clean with penalties as well, and that's a big point. That's something that I don't want to sleep on. Our cornerbacks, and see, with the cornerbacks we've had and the safeties we've had, think about it. Think about who we've had: Jordan Poyer, Xavier Howard. We've had a lot of penalties on our cornerback room. Even Kader Kohu is guilty of a lot of penalties, right? In the years past, these recent years, we've had a lot of penalties on our cornerbacks and our safeties. And I feel I'd be amiss if I didn't mention that I feel like they've been playing rather solid, especially clean football. When you play clean football in the safety and cornerback area, you're going to give up some plays, but you're playing clean and you're not giving up the penalties. So I like it. Overall, I do like what our cornerbacks and our safeties have been doing. Our safeties get a C, and I really, really, really am going to give – I cannot believe I'm saying this, and you guys might think I'm crazy, but cornerbacks getting a B. Definite B, a strong B. Almost want to say B+ from our cornerback room. They've been playing well, and as far as our defense goes, they've been one of the best parts of it. It's certainly the most reliable. And these are players that have never played on our team for the most part. Jack Jones and Rasul Douglas and Cornell Armstrong. Cornell's he's a rookie, I think. These guys are brand new to this team. New scheme, and they're playing great. And everybody was thinking they were going to be the weak spot, right, at the beginning of the year. And I don't blame anybody. I did too. I thought they were going to be the weak spot. And here they are, and they get the strongest ranking out of our defense. Definite strong ranking. B for our cornerback room. Moving into our middle linebackers, not the strongest, I suppose. Well, and I'll speak about that in a second here. Middle linebackers. Our 2 middle linebackers, Jordan Brooks and Dotson, Tyrell Dotson and Jordan Brooks, lead the NFL. Both of them lead the NFL in tackles. And people can say, well, that's because the defensive line isn't making tackles. Well, middle linebackers are making tackles, and they're making a lot of them. And both of them lead the NFL in tackles. That's crazy. I cannot remember any time where any team has had that. And I've been watching football since 86, 87. I've never seen both starting middle linebackers play like that and lead the NFL, especially even after 4 weeks. I've never seen that. It's an incredible stat. They are playing amazing football. Jordan Brooks has 44 tackles. Whew. Man. Tyrell Dotson has 42. Both of them lead the NFL. Nobody in the NFL has more tackles. Tyrell Dotson also has 2 sacks and a forced fumble. I mean, he is playing lights out football. Jordan Brooks has another sack. These guys are playing fantastic football. I'm not going to ask anything more from our interior linebackers. They're playing fantastic. They are probably the one position that I'm going to give an A rating to. I'm giving them an A minus. They've been playing lights out football, making tackles, making sacks, creating pressure. They're doing everything they can. Our interior linebackers are amazing. A minus for them. Moving to our outside, our edge rushers and our edge coverage. So we'll just call it our edge. Our edges are not getting the opportunities they need in the pass rush, and I've talked about that earlier in the stream. Even with that, though, and with the decisions the coaches have made with the edge rushers, the production isn't there, right? And while they've set the edge decent enough for the most part, the large portion of the edge rushing job is rushing, right? Is pressure, and they haven't done it. So because of that, and I'm not going to pick on them as much as I am about to pick on our interior defensive line, but for our outside edge, for our edge rushers and our edge coverage, I'm going to go ahead and throw down a C minus. It could be a heck of a lot better, and it needs to be. This is one of those things that needs to improve, and my prediction that it's going to improve, especially this next game coming up, because of things that are about to happen. If it doesn't, I'm going to be extremely disappointed, and then I'll be concerned. This is week 4. This is when things need to start clicking, and if they don't, then you need to start looking at where to point the finger. Right now, there's a few places to point the finger. I think a portion of it goes to the coaching staff, and a portion of it goes to the players. But C minus for those edge rushers. They could be doing a lot better, and I hope they do. I'm not sure about a trend for our edge rushing right now because I'm not seeing much difference. As soon as I see something different, then I'll know what the trend is, right? If we see a couple games where it's getting better and better, then you'll know. As of right now, C minus for our edge rushing room. And that moves us into the defensive line. Now, for the defensive line, this is the hard part. Because they're not making tackles, they're not getting off their blocks, and when you have that, you have a recipe for disaster. You have a recipe for teams to run all over you, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a defensive line that can't get separation from their blocks. They can't get off of them because why? We talked about it earlier in the stream a little bit about how they cannot use their hands to create any kind of separation from their blocks. They cannot win because they're not using their hands. No kung fu grip. They need that. They've got to do it, and they can't. What's up, Josh? How you doing, man? I'm going through these evaluations. You've missed most of it, but I'm finishing up here. I'm about to give my defensive line grade for the first 4 weeks of the season, and it is not good, ladies and gentlemen. This is the one that's kind of this one hurts. This is the worst ranking for the team. This is the worst ranking for our team. The worst grade I'm about to throw down. And that grade is a D minus. Not good. Not passing. It's a fail. I know it's a D minus, and in school that's a pass, but as far as the NFL goes, a D minus is not sufficient, right? They get a D minus. They're just not there. Now they could be. It could trend differently here if some things change. And I think it's directly relational to what happens in this next game. Like I said, confidence is a huge key, and they need a little bit of confidence. They need to see some things happen. Now, unfortunately, our defensive line, our interior defensive line, has a lot of rookies. 2 players that we heavily use. Yeah, Josh, just the interior defensive line. I'm going D minus for right now. I'm pretty disappointed in what I'm seeing. Now, there are reasons, right? And there is a chance for improvement, and I think we're going to see that. I think there's going to be a trend of better play from our defensive line. But as of the first 4 weeks of the season, that's where I have them. Just the defensive line, just the interior. I have them at a D minus. But when you look at this defense as a whole, safeties, C. Cornerbacks, B. Middle linebackers, A minus. edge rushing C-, and defensive line D-. When you look at those rankings, I have an overall rating for this team on defense as a C+. Yes, Josh, you're right. Zach is. He is being overwhelmed right now, helping out young guys get lined up and ready on every play. And he's not able. That's such a small part too. Like that's definitely part of it. But even during the play, he's having to help, right? And it's a struggle. And he's putting a lot of effort in and taking on a lot to be that guy on the team. And like I said, once these guys start to figure things out a little more, these rookies get a little more independent. They're going to be, and they grow. They're going to be they're going to get better. And I said that, Josh, in the very beginning. I said that, and we are very young, and this is growing pains, and this is what happens when you have a young team, and we haven't had that in so long that I feel like Dolphins fans have kind of forgotten what it's like to have a young team. And all I'm giving is, it's not a complaint against anything or it's a slight. This is just where I have the team right now, because I'm doing these rankings at every quarter of the season. So halfway through, I'm going to do them again. And then 3/4 of the way through the season, I'm doing them again. And at the end of the year, I'm doing it again, because in the beginning of this year, I said, I'm not concerned about playoff wins this year. I'm not. I didn't think that was going to happen. What I am concerned about is growth, individual and team evaluations, right? So I told everybody in the beginning, yes, I told everybody that I'm gonna be doing these evaluations to track, what I see from these players in these positions. This is good. In-game help for the young guys. You can see the difference between Wilkins and Campbell next to. Yes, you can. Yeah, and that's the big thing is Campbell, especially Campbell, was such a leader, right? Steeler had the opportunity to kind of lean on him a little bit and do his thing as well. And I'm not taking any slight on Steeler at all. He's a fantastic player, and I'm so happy that he's on our team. And I feel like this problem that I'm mentioning with our defensive line and the fact that it's just not the greatest, it doesn't mean that I think badly of them, right? And I'm not thinking that our defensive line, we need to throw these rookies away and find somebody. No, it's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this is where I have them right now after 4 weeks in their rookie season, pretty much, because most of our defensive line is rooks. But it's motivational to think they have so much room to grow, and we're seeing these little instances of great play from them. Right? It's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be good. It's just not great yet. Right? There's the growing pains, but looking at this team and kind of rounding this whole thing up, looking at this team, I love the evals quarter and then see what end of the year looks like versus early. Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what the thought is kind of follow the team through the year, see how they've grown and where I have them and what I've noticed, right? You're looking at this offense and this defense for this team, and I have them ranked overall. Our offense I have as a B. Overall, our defense I have as a C+. Do those rankings to all of you out there listening and watching in the future, later on when this video is not live, does a B offense and a C+ defense sound like a 1-3 football team to you? Because it doesn't to me. And this is where I'm going to get into a tiny little bit of hopium. I want to offer this up for you. And this isn't bad hopium. This is evaluational hope. This is something to be encouraged about, right? Was the beginning to the season a great start? No, it wasn't a great start. Yes, Costa, there you go. That's a better thing than what a 1-3. 1-3, you would think this team is horrible, right? And so many people are saying this team sucks. It's horrible. There's no good. They're all bad, and it's just not true. And this is kind of my point here. Evaluating the team and having this, that's not a bad rating either. C-, C+, or C, that's not bad either. But looking at this, no, and this is where I'm getting into this point right here. the grades are not indicative of the talent level on this team. That's what Josh says, and I agree 100%. Looking at these rankings and what I've seen, if I didn't know the scores of the games, and if I didn't know the ranking, the record of this team, looking at my evaluations for the players and the rooms, the individual rooms for this team, I would not say that this is a 1-3 football team. I wouldn't. I would say 3-1, 2-2, maybe. My point is this. My point is this isn't as bad as a lot of people think. It's just not that bad. We have a lot of young players. Josh mentioned it, third youngest team in the NFL. A group of people who are learning to play together. Most of these guys are new to the team. New playbook. So much new coaches. And coaching staff, I mean, we can touch on it real quick. I think Robert Prince is doing an amazing job with the wide receivers. I think he's doing a great job. You know, I wanted to mention him specifically because I've seen growth in our wide receiver room, especially in the realm of blocking and route running. And I wanted to mention that. As far as Mike McDaniel goes, the last game I felt like was called rather well. The last game. Beyond that, I feel like there was room for improvement here and there. I like the fact that he has been trying to run the ball more. I wish that they would figure some things out as far as where to run the ball. But I like the fact that he's sticking to the run game a little bit more than normal. I don't think this is indicative of a 1-3 football team. Anthony Weaver definitely needs to step up a little bit. I feel like he's trying to be too cute with a lot of things, coverage and blitzes, and I feel like he needs to settle down and let some organic pass rush happen. I feel like he's partially doing the blitzing and stuff because he doesn't feel like cornerbacks are going to be able to cover for very long, but our cornerbacks are playing surprisingly well. So with that, I think that we can afford to sit back and let a little bit of pass rush happen naturally and let Jalen Phillips actually pin his ears back. My goodness, stop dropping that man in coverage. I think that this is indicative of a better team than 1-3. And I think that this is going to improve. I think we have a solid chance to win a few games here. The Chargers game is going to be difficult, but I'm not thinking about that ahead too much right now. Right now, I'm looking at me personally ranking this team as a B on offense and a C+ on defense. And with all of that, I'm going to take it to a B- for the team as a whole. A B-. I don't look at this. I wouldn't say this is a 1-3 team, and it's frustrating because I feel like there's the Bills game we let slip, right? We let it slip. The Bills game, I mean, we had them through a pick. Sealer had his one bonehead play, but that bonehead play was also directly relational to coaching, and Ackerman even admitted it. So, coaching staff, I gotta go C-. I'll go C- with the coaching staff. Definite room for improvement, but like I said, a couple of the coaches, I really am impressed with what they've done this year. Namely, Robert Prince. I feel like he's done a fantastic job, and I like him. McDaniel, I think he's been cleaner especially after the Patriots game. I feel like he was pretty bad in the Patriots game. McDaniel has gotten a little better these last two games. I'd like to see the trend continue. The problem with McDaniel is he'll trend up and then he'll trend down. And that's the trick with McDaniel is what is he going to do in the long run, right? So as of right now, I'll go C- as a whole, but put an asterisk next to the coaching staff because I feel like it's almost too early to evaluate the coaching staff completely. I'm nervous about the coaching staff. Right now, Anthony Weaver, I've got some questions about him. He needs to settle down with the cuteness, right? He said that he wants to see some violence in action from his team. I want to see that with the play calling. If you want to see that from your team, then put them in a position to do that. Stop putting Jalen Phillips in coverage and blitzing a linebacker or blitzing a corner. Stop doing it. Stop bringing the nickel corner and setting back Jalen Phillips. That is the stupidest thing in the world. and they need to stop. And that's on Anthony Weaver. It's not the players. So that's got to quit. If that wasn't happening on defense, I'd have a much higher evaluation. And furthermore, I think we would have won one or possibly two more games, even with some of the mistakes the offense made. I do too, Josh. And I think I mentioned it on when I was watching your stream too. I think I talked about it too a little bit. I know you guys did as well. I think Reek's injury is actually going to help this team be less one-dimensional and allow the team to spread the ball around and make us more diverse. I agree 100%. I mentioned it in the beginning of the stream too when I was talking about the preview for the Panthers. I only lightly touched on it, but yeah, I did. I mentioned it too. I truly think it's going to help the team. And I mentioned that it's hard for Tua probably to pass on Tyreek, like to pass him up and move to the next progression sometimes, because once Tyreek gets a yard and a half, 2 yards of separation, it's like, why would you not throw it to him? Why would you not give it a shot? It's Tyreek Hill. So I agree 100%. We'll see how it actually ends up panning out, but I think this Panthers game is a perfect opportunity for the Dolphins to actually test that, So that's where I'm at, and that's where I have the ranking for this team. I have them rated a lot higher than their record would indicate, and we'll see what that means for this team as we proceed. Say 5 more games, and I'll give that 50%. I'll give that halfway through the season ranking. So as soon as week 9 hits, I'll have that midway ranking. And as we go here, we're going to be even more and more accurate with what this team is as we proceed. Right now, I feel like the team, compared to their ability and their what they are, I think that compared to that, I think their record is lacking. I think it could have been a lot better. So we'll see how it progresses as we go. And yes, absolutely, I am one of those that agrees with this. The rivalry jerseys were fire. Absolutely. I love them so much. I'm going to get one. I'm just undecided right now of what player I want to get. I know they have Dan Marino available now. I'm kind of waiting for the personalized ones to come out, because then you can pretty much make the jersey whatever you want it to be. You can get any player. So I'm kind of waiting for that to happen. Once that does, I'm going to go ahead and order me one too. Because if that happens, I would love to have a Zach Thomas rivalry jersey, or even a Zonka jersey. That's rivalry. I think that would be sick. So I like what I saw from the last game. I'm hoping for, and I've given the reasons why I think this is going to improve these next few games. We'll see. But I want to thank you guys for watching. I know I went a little longer than I planned on. Thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys throw likes down. It helps a bunch with these YouTube algorithms. If you're new and haven't subscribed, please do that. I won't let you down. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys coming in here and listening to me yammer. I'll be streaming the second half of the Dolphins game against the Panthers. First half, I'm going to be at church, but afterwards, I'll be right here to stream the game and watch it with you guys. So thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Fins up. Stay hopeful. I know it's hard, but stay hopeful. And we'll see where this goes. Thanks for watching.